I'm there. So,
Perfect.
good afternoon, delegates, my fellow panelists, and also to my friends and from Kamikaze B2B Media. You all are quite, I would say, everyone here that is attending this conference are well versed with the current scenarios and how treasuries are functioning right now versus what we have seen traditionally. So I would start this conversation by saying time immemorial treasuries has been there, and treasuries has been considered as the custodian of the cash, custodian of the payments receipts of any organization. Treasuries play a very important role in guiding the organization towards a lean and mean structure, preserving the cash, preserving the security of the organizations. What has changed recently, I would like to touch upon the very recent phenomenon is that treasuries are no more looked at just as a custodian of the cash and balances of the treasury of the organization. So treasury has evolved much into a larger center of excellence where they can really preserve the bottom line and in most cases add to the bottom line of the organization. Then came upon another innovation that treasury has done is the technological innovations, and the most ardent proof of that is nothing but the recent events around the pandemic induced lockdown in many countries, then work from home, then how to take care of the controls situation for the most valuable resource of any company, that is the cash. So now we have one of the best treasury minds of India who are have given their valuable time to join in this panel and take all you through how each organization has worked upon on these 2-3 aspects. The first aspect is transforming the treasury from a custodian to value additions who can add real value to the treasury, to the organization. Then the second aspect is how they have managed to give the ultimate confidence to the organization through controls which are not necessarily in-house or physical controls rather than technological controls. And the lockdowns, the work from home environment has really proved how the treasuries can excel in this field. The third they would be mostly touching upon is the recent technological innovations and offshoring, fintech startups integration with treasury, how to better utilize the cash conversion cycle. So they will take all of us through that journey. So to again repeat, I am Anil Jaina. I head the Treasury and Trade and Structured Finance for Olam in India. And now I would like to introduce my fellow panelist, Mr. Sohail Siddiqui, who is a long friend of mine and VP and Head of Treasury for Emami. Sohail, if we can start with the question, the intelligent treasury and the business intersects. So as I have just touched upon, and as you are always touching upon in your everyday work life, the treasuries are no more just the custodians of cash and bank balances. Now, if you can touch upon and take us through how the partnership between treasury, finance, and the management of any organization interplay to give excellence to any company. Thanks. Over to Sohail. Can you please unmute Sohail? Mohit?
Is it fine?
Yes, yes, Sohail, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Anil Jina, for giving such a nice introductions. Thanks to Aboli also. As you rightly mentioned initially, you mentioned about the payment system, the cash flow. The treasury is not limited to only forex. So I had noted down a lot of points around here, and the list is very large now. Nowadays, the treasury team has to manage for the entire company, because it has definitely impact on the overall bottom line. So, as you know, the market has been very volatile because of this corona outbreak. This atypical circumstances highlights the importance of having a systematic treasury approach to the risk. So, I remember my earlier days when I was in a bank. I used to give an example to all my clients who are into this treasury business, that you can't buy an insurance if your car is already heading into the ditch. The same applies for the risk. You have to manage the risk even when it is not imminent, so that the hedge works when you actually need it. So for the companies that chose to go international, it's important to be aware of the external market factors such as currency and exchange rate fluctuations that eat away the profits and then the bottom line of the company. So of course, every company has the target of the profits. They have to maintain the EBITDA level. So given the recent market volatility and the wide swing in the global currency and the foreign exchange market, okay, every company has to be on the top of this agenda. So managing currency risk, which I'm talking about right now, doesn't have to mean that it has to be done in a manual way. As Anil also mentioned over here, company big and small has to discover the benefit of optimizing the FX risk management. So there are a lot of solutions which are also available in the market through which the FX risk can be managed well. So along with the FX risk management, it also comes the interest rate risk. So like currency fluctuation, changes in the interest rates can also eat away your revenue and the increased cost. The more variable rates that a business has, the higher the financial stem from the unfavorable interest rates movement, which can make the budget and the planning uncertain. So securing your company finances against the higher interest rates should be a part of your risk management strategy, helping to make your cash flow more and more predictable. So consultant sometime has offered very nice hedging solutions to help manage risk and costs, including the interest rate swaps, interest rate caps, interest rate collars. I mean, of course, these are little exotic derivatives, but every company who has a medium to large size of treasury needs to understand all these products very well. So these hedges can be tailor-made to the company profile, taking into account the market situations. So as I said, it is important now that a company who manages the product market, okay, need to also manage the market risk, which relates to the financial market, which is managed largely for the from the external aid. So I would say market risk is equal to, say, currency risk and interest rate risk and liquidity risk and the money market risk. So there are a plethora of risk, and of course the opportunity which is available at the company's overall the business which they strategize.
Yeah, so, thanks, Sohail. Sorry, you are such a rich source of risk management.
No, I thought how to conclude. So in fact, I was just coming to the point of conclusion only. So there are various products, of course, which are available to the companies through which they can manage their overall treasury well, and of course gain the benefit out of it. So I'll just conclude over here, but of course I'll take more questions if they come across, so that I can explain with examples. Over to you, Anil.
Yeah, sorry. Actually, Sohail we would have loved to hear you for an hour, but because of the lack of time, the richness of the panel here, you can gauge that.
No, I understand. Yeah, I understand. I'm sorry. Actually, I extended it more because I have a lot of.
We will come back to you later, Sohail.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, you touched upon the consultant and various tools of risk management. As most of our delegates and panelists would be aware, now India is a source of innovation. India provides the software solutions to maybe 50 to 60% of the global MNCs, large players. And fintechs are at the forefront of that innovation. So I would now like to move to Ms. Sugandha, who is VP and Head of Treasury for SRF Limited. And I would like to hear from her why integration between corporates and fintechs. Fintechs offer a plethora of services and an excellent source of new innovation, new technology. So if you can touch upon on these two questions, why integration between corporates, banks and fintechs has not been as smooth as we would have expected, or if there are some roadblocks that in your mind you would emphasize, and also if it is not solved, then how it will impact the innovations in Indian treasuries. To Ms. Sugandha, please.
Thanks, Anil. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
And the topic which you have offered is very wide, but I'll still try to contain myself in a shorter thing. So we are all aware, that the financial service sector has been undergoing change, and this pace of change has really been accelerated because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the integration issue which you are highlighting is just a tip of the iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
The real issue which has come, during these past few years has been that the competitive landscape in which we are operating has changed. Now, what do I mean by that? So traditionally, if you remember when we historically used to we talked about, industry space, and we used to say, these are my competitor, these are my customer, these are my partners. But if you see this unique space of fintech and bank, what is happening is that the fintech is the competitor for the bank, as well as fintech is the partner for the bank. So the whole competitive landscape has blurred in sense that the boundaries of who your competitors are and who your partners are have blurred in some way. So I think this entire disruption that we are seeing in the industry requires each of the partners, whether bank, fintech or corporate, to really rethink what they want to do. So if you see from a bank perspective, the role of finance is that of an enabler today, rather than just selling a product and services. So the banks have to accept and understand that just selling a product will not help. They have to see what is the customer need, and if in order to meet the needs, they have to partner with a fintech which gives a much faster service, then that's a fact of life and they have to accept it. Similarly, if you see in the fintech space, initially the fintechs came as a startup, a wave of startup. They wanted to disrupt the industry, come up with new models. But now these fintech have become integral part of a larger ecosystem. And since you must be interacting with a lot of these fintech, they are little confused on the business model. Are they still software as services, or do they want to enter into the lending space? So there are many fintechs, who are saying that while we are a platform provider, we would also provide some kind of funding. Now, this confusion which these fintechs have as to what their business space should be leads to, another thought or uncertainty and more chaos in the systems. Now, if I come to the corporates, I look at my own self, as a corporate, we adopted all the things which were necessary to ensure that business disruptions is not happening. So we did everything that was essential for that, whether being offered by a corporate or by a fintech. We then looked at solutions which had minimal risk, but easy to implement kind of solutions, which had certain kind of benefit, say a dynamic discounting platform to that extent. But as a corporate, are we today ready to share our data and make it open? Are we ready to move from a bank being a partner on which we were relying to fintech being the new partners? I don't think corporates today have really think about it. So this entire fight of who we are, what we want to do, and what should be our business model and strategy is leading to some kind of economical frictions between these things, leading to aspects of integration issue which you are seeing. And now I just want to touch base upon one more thing. What is actually happening is in this tussle is that traditionally when we are dealing with the banks wanted to offer solutions which were exclusive. They said, okay, we want to enter into corporate, we'll give you 10 these things, you remain my customer for life. Now the fintechs, they come, they say, we are offering you a solution which are not dependent who your banking partner is. You want to switch bank from one to the other, it's at the click of the button. So they are offering a solution which is bank agnostic. But do I, as a corporate, want to move into a solution where I'm dependent, where I'm dependent on the fintech? While I'm agnostic to the bank, I become dependent on the fintech. So I don't know whether that thing I want to do. I'm not comfortable with exposing my own database to these fintechs. There are issues also around the governance, because bank has a legacy government. They're much regulated. Fintechs are not. So what kind of risk the banks are taking, corporates are taking, we're not sure of. So I think all these things put together, the chaos which is existing in the system is making the integration difficult. It will eventually settle. We all have to settle down. But today we are in a stage where the chaos is still going on. So that's the core reason why I believe that integration is today the way it is.
Thanks, Sugandha.
Yeah.
Really, from the corporate world, we have heard two treasurers, and we understand what the corporate thinks and acts like. So Sugandha has touched upon how fintechs are not in a way replacing banks, but we have to consider them as a bridge between banks and corporates, right? So they offer a multilateral solution, whereas banks used to offer a unilateral solution, and some say multiple banking customers may not be very keen to open everything to a single bank, even if the solution used to be quite great. That is where the fintechs are actually bridging that gap. So after listening to Sugandha, who would be the best person than Mr. Dinkar Sankalp, who is the GM of Treasury, Bank of Maharashtra, and a proper PSU large bank. I hope Mr. Dinkar can touch upon this issue of corporate versus bank and the bridging gap by fintechs, how technological conundrum that we would call it, basically, should we adapt or we continue with the way we have done with a one-to-one bank relationship? Over to Mr. Dinkar, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon to you all. Yeah, the point or the subject touched by the Sugandha is valid point. And in today's digital era, it is very important for the corporate as well as the account holder to get the faster service as well as the faster decision, because that the days were gone where one can sit on one proposal for 8 days, 10 days, 15 days, 1 month. So the fintech, definitely we can, or sometimes the market can see as a competitor to the bank. But I think it will be the very early judgment to treat them as a competitor of the bank, because we know the banking industry, banking system, and what is the contribution of the banks. Definitely that fintech will be good facilitator for the customer as well as the bank. And technology has the important role to take the benefit of that, the new technological innovations. And this technological innovation should have the customized approach for all stakeholders, for the banks, for the customer, for the corporates also. And this customized approach will give the greater sense of the convenience and greater control over the way you want to live. It will be if we can take for the corporates, they can get the better rate, because every corporate, when they will go for the banker, they will have to visit to the various clients, various banks, there will be this series of the meeting with the bank top management for the getting better rate, better terms and condition. But that fintech companies will give you all your requirement, and from that options you can choose which is the better option for you. So it will save the time, it will save the cost. And if we take as a banking scenario, so for the banking, the operational cost will come down. Now we have seen that if we take the housing loans or the retail loans, now the housing rate of interest for the loan, I think we have put it at 6.40 recently. We are the lowest into the industry. So the many bank will offer such products because there will be the huge competition, and definitely it will get the benefit for the all. Even banks also, that operational cost will come down. Thanks.
Thank you, Dinkar sir. So a true banker to his salt. So as every one of you would be aware, still public sector banks account for more than 60% of the financing that India incorporate avails. So we can never ever deny the contribution the public sector banks have done to this country and to the financial industry. So that is no denying about that. What we are trying to understand is what is the way forward, and who better than Mr. Rajiv, who comes from Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, who are considered the new age. Actually, they are like a startup in the banking industry, right? If we call it correctly. So they are the disruptors. They are to disrupt the industry and bring something very new that India Inc. has never seen. So over to Mr. Rajiv Pawar, Head of Treasury, Ujjivan Small Finance Bank. Sir, if you can just touch upon how the Treasury leadership, so it is like innovate or peril, right?
Sorry, can you guys hear me? My screen seems to have frozen.
Yeah, Rajiv, we can hear you. I think you can continue. We can see your nice, beautiful photograph. You can continue. So just the question to you is that recently the COVID-19, everybody has gone through the pain and remote working, remote control. So how do you think the leadership need to innovate now that it is a part of our everyday life? How do you think the leadership, you coming from a technologically superior new age startup bank, if you can guide us through?
Sure. Thank you very much, Anil, and thank you everyone for inviting me to speak here on behalf of myself and my bank, Ujjivan Bank. Thank you very much. In terms of the lockdown which happened and working from home, this is something which we experienced for the past 2 years, and in some form or the other, it's always going to come back. So be it the treasury or anyone else, we have to be prepared for it. And this is even more so important for a treasury, because be it a bank, definitely for a bank and even for a corporate, a treasury is at the nerve center of everything. I think the discussion between whether a treasury is a cost center or profit center is something which we should leave aside, because treasuries actually are profit centers. And especially in situations like this, when we have a problem or a disruption in the market, be demonetization earlier or the pandemic right now, where sudden changes happen in the market. In terms of treasuries, what happened in the past 2 years is that every central bank cut rates, interest rates came crashing down. So there was a huge benefit, a huge opportunity for treasuries to make money. So as a treasurer or someone leading a treasury, it becomes a double-pronged problem. Number one, you have a pandemic, everybody wants to work from home. You have directives, government directives that you need to work from home. You have employees who are obviously bothered about their own health. They are not very keen on coming into work, and rightly so. But at the same time, there is a massive opportunity in the market, because there's an opportunity where you can actually make a lot of money for your organization. And that's one of the roles of the treasury. Whenever there is an opportunity to make money, to augment businesses, because the rest of the businesses are not doing well, the economy is not doing well, but you have an opportunity in the treasury to make this money. So you need to go about doing it. And it becomes a huge challenge. So one of the things, of course, you do is, you do have, as a newer bank, it was easier for us to work from home, to have our dealing screens at home. The Reserve Bank of India, the clearing corporation provided those facilities where you could, trade from home. You could do your funds management from home. The RBI applications, eKuber, which is a large RBI platform, that could be accessed remotely. So all that helped, and we could manage day-to-day funding. You could hold an ALCO, you could hold a meeting, you could do whatever you want to sitting at home. But another core part of the treasury is managing the money, trading, taking a call on the markets. And one of the things which I saw and many treasurers and banks saw is that when traders are working separately at home, their risk-taking appetite actually comes down. They take less amount of risk. Because, typically anybody who's trading or investing in the market, I think they like to work in teams. It's sort of like hunters working in packs. So one of them motivates the other. If someone sees an opportunity, they tell each other about it. That is something which actually came down in the market. Very clearly it could be seen. And also, we have, fortunately in India, one of the most advanced dealing systems. Our bond market systems, our dealing platforms are very advanced. So the execution, you really need to be swift. So you might have, you were trading in one particular bond or a swap, nothing very complicated. You might be hedging your bond by doing something else or selling one and buying another. You require a couple of people to work together quickly on that. For that, actually being in a live environment, being in an office really helps. So to that extent, any kind of a thing, any kind of a lockdown created disruption, created problems for us. With technology, we were able to surmount a lot of that and get back to it. Besides this, there were other challenges from a leadership point of view in which terms of regulator, because regardless of where we are working, there are certain things which you have to maintain. Your reserve requirements, your reportings, making sure your transactions are booked properly. There is no leeway, there's no disputes happening out there. All those things you have to ensure remotely. So that helped us. The other two important things were making sure where is your money coming into the bank. What we realized is that technology really helped us a lot in this particular point of time. In terms of collections for the bank, we worked with a lot of vendors, we worked with a lot of partners like Airtel, where you could tell a person that you don't really need to go to your nearest branch. You go to the nearest shop and make your payments or pay your EMIs from this. So that was a big help for them. The other challenge wasn't deploying our money. You have a lot of liquidity. All banks were flush with liquidity at that point of time. There were corporates who did not really want money at that point of time. So what do you do with that money? Coming with opportunities to enhance your return on that money. That was important. From a corporate point of view, it is the flip side. You do not require the money, but in the past year, most of them were offered money at very, very cheap rates. Your credit spreads had come down. So what do? Do you let that money go away? Because there were companies who could borrow a 3-month commercial paper probably at a rate lower than Reserve Bank of India or Government of India issues treasury bills. So should we not capitalize on that? Should we not lock in your long-term borrowing or 2, 3, 5-year borrowing at those rates? But if you do lock it in, where do you deploy the money? So those kind of challenges are always lying with the treasury. Because lots of time in a bank or in a company, the other people may not really be aware of this opportunity. They would be bothered, yes, about the safety of the employees, making sure that the business comes up to speed, making sure your branches are working properly. But there is a capital cost. There is a cost of funds out there. Taking those funds in, letting them lie with you, you will lose money on that. Or if you do not take it in, there's an opportunity cost. So taking those decisions, taking those calls is something which we learned a lot in the past 2 years. And we have to be ready for that going ahead as well. Because these problems will come up again and again. I'm not saying, hopefully there'll never be a pandemic again, but there could be other disruptions in the market where you have to work away from home. And also some banks or some people actually want to continue working from home. Large MNC banks still continue to work from home because that is something which they've globally decided. There have been those switches happening. So we will have to learn to live with that. Technology does help us and will continue to help us on that. And the fintechs who are there, I don't think a bank should ever view them as a challenger. We have to work with them as a partner. And it has helped us, be it for us on the lending side, partnering with them, using their basis to lend money, or looking at them to, better raise our collections. Either ways, we need to work together with them. But there have been a lot of leadership challenges, and I think they'll continue to be there going ahead in time to come. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rajiv. Thanks. So you touched upon a very important subject, how to strategize treasuries. It is not just that risk management. So Sohail touched upon the risk management. Sugandha touched upon how fintechs can innovate risk management as well as bringing the strategic value of treasury. So now I would like to move to Mr. Vinay Bhutra, who is the head of treasury of Titan India, large treasury. So we would now like to understand a treasurer's perspective, how treasuries are really strategically important for any organization for that matter. Over to Mr. Binay sir. Can you, if you can just take us through the strategic value of treasury, how you look at it, and how our fellow delegates who have joined this conference can utilize your rich source of knowledge.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So thanks Anil, and the right question, that how Treasury can actually strategically help the organization. So typically, this entire session since morning, I have just peeped in a couple of sessions. We were talking about digital transformation and all getting digital. And I think that has given a lot of opportunities to treasuries, like both strategically and operationally, that how you can manage your treasury well, even during this times of pandemic. And trust me, it's not only treasury who is following the digital transformation journey. If you look from other angles or other areas of the business, all the areas are started using digital transformation. Say as an example, like sales has gone omni-channel for most of the companies rather than being only physical or digital. So it has become phygital rather. In terms of documentation, you would have seen Go Green initiative by a lot of companies where they have stopped printing onto the papers. And then there is a lot of finance who has transformed by using a lot of technology, by doing automations, integrations, and maybe a lot of AI and those kind of things being implemented. So keeping those things in mind, I'll say Treasury has been a really important function. And Treasury has to be really agile to adopt all these changing scenarios over a period in time. So if you look from technology perspective, I'll say there are three phases typically a corporate would have adopted to move from traditional manual style to the digitalization wave. So first wave, probably people would have moved towards a centralization of the treasuries, where you get all the data in a single place. Like a lot of companies use ERP as a SAP, Oracle, whatnot. So you try to get all your data in a central place. So that's that brings a lot of clear and razor sharp focus on all the data, what you have, and in terms of the cash flows or maybe the liquidity. Being in pandemic, everyone is aware like liquidity is a huge risk and a huge importance, that you need to control it on a daily, I'll say, regular basis. So those things being centralized actually helps a lot to the treasury team. So that I'll say is the first stage of the digitalization, where you bring all the data consolidated, and that helps to do a lot of data evaluation and bring down the cost, or maybe bringing the synergy between the different banks and the processes. Second stage, what I think is more advanced, is like digitalization, automation, API then repetitive process automation. So those things are something, or maybe machine learning. Those are the things which brings a lot of, I'll say, insight to the treasury, and you can actually do much more than what normal or a traditional treasury used to do. It's like you can be proactive and start supporting business by doing a lot of data analysis, and you can be being an early mover. You will have more, I'll say, analytical and support to the company's growth, rather than treasury being an improving control and efficiency kind of a function. So you just move ahead of a control and efficiency. You try to support business and give inputs to the business, insight to the business, that these are the data points which you should look forward and see how we can grow the business. Maybe cost reduction can be one of them. Maybe telling the business that these are the various areas where you can reduce the cost. These are the areas where we can increase the revenue based on the collection data input and all. And lastly is all about artificial intelligence. We touched about it in the previous session, so I'll not go a lot in detail. But what I'll say is that is really a stage where companies will start embracing it, and then will automatically spread over the other finance areas, including treasury. In terms of all digitalization, the biggest challenge what I see is like people do struggle with the legacy data or accuracy of the data. That is something which needs to be like really looked into. So before we move into these kind of a solution, it is important that we structure or correct the data in first place, then move into the digitalization, because otherwise what will happen is garbage in is garbage out. So you need to be really careful that what you put into the automation. So the moment we say digitalization, people jump and get the digitalization done. So that's not the objective. The objective is to get your processes right, then move into digitalization, and then maintenance. So maintenance is also very, very important. That AI or anything which is machine built, it needs continuous learning. So whatever there is a change in the process or change in the data, just ensure that you train the machine also accordingly on a daily basis, so that machine keeps on improvising over a period of time. Trust me, results will be phenomenal. We have done it in Titan, so I can say that results are phenomenal. Once you do this digitalization and automation, it really helps you a lot. So the few challenges, what I'll say for the smaller treasuries, is all about getting the right data, being the mindset, ensuring that you get out of this paperwork, because a lot of paperwork keeps rolling around, and reconciliation of the BRS being done manually, being the cash flow, which you don't have a clear visibility of the cash flows, and then doing all this investment management through the manual work. So to me, I'll say in each and every areas of treasury, you can bring in some form of digitalization and automation, which will certainly make the life much, much easier. Be it investment management, be it your cash flow management, be it your, say, cash flow forecasting, or maybe the cross currency management FX tool and all. And that will certainly help you to be a business partner rather than just being a treasurer. So that's it from my side.
Thank you, Vinayji. A lot to take home for all the delegates, all the finance professionals who are listening here. So there is nothing like hearing from an experienced treasurer that you won't find anything written resources that experienced treasurer can express in 5 minutes. Great, sir. Thank you for your valuable insights.
Thank you.
So is Mr. Prince Soni still there? I would like to go to him for the next question. I don't see him. Okay, nevertheless, so I would now would like to go back to Sohail again. He had touched upon the risk management while a treasurer's one of the very important role is also the foreign currency risk management. While for a domestic treasury, it is more of a control aspect, where here it is a market aspect also. So you combine control plus market, where you get the foreign exchange risk management. So now you would have seen at the advent of COVID, we saw a super storm, the perfect storm, right? So the currencies were weakening, there was a lockdown, the financing was costlier. So then the central banks, all central banks acted in coordination and brought the rates down. But 1.5 years later, now what we are now challenged is the other side of the coin. Now every commodity prices has run up. It is in multi-year highs. Now every central bank is now struggling how to unwind the loosening policy they had done. So I would like to hear from Sohail. So the impending storm of higher inflation, which in some countries may result into a stagflation, actually low growth, high inflation. So if you can put your markets knowledge and enlighten us, how do you think the current storm of risk and risk management and build a smarter treasury to take care of this cycle of risk on in the markets? Sohail, please.
Yes, Anil. So as you said rightly, there has been a storm in the commodity market, definitely. FX market, especially US dollar INR is concerned, has been quite steady. I mean, luckily, we have not lost anything in the FX market. But yes, we had to change our overall policy of hedging in the FX market as well as the commodity market. And also since we have a global treasury, we have an office in Singapore. So we have taken, we have leveraged that benefit also by, utilizing some of the products which are not available in India. So we have actually shifted some of our treasury to Singapore. And from there, we have started utilizing those products which are not allowed over here in India. So basically, as you rightly said, in commodity market, there was a storm rather, you can say, where the commodity prices have rise by more than 100% in a lot of cases. So in that way, we have been, continuously hedging we have been using futures, we have been hedging various, exchanges. We explored over time, sitting at home also during the work from home process. We try to tighten and we have ensured that we utilize the option market as well as future market, both together. Okay, to ensure that we are not exposed to the superstorm which happened in the commodity market. As I said, we have been very lucky that at least Indian currency, against the US dollar was not so volatile. So we could able to manage it well. So the thing which we have changed over here is that we had a frequent meeting. Of course, virtually we are not so well versed earlier, so that we started doing it, and that really helped us to manage the liquidity as well as the interest rate risk. Overall, with the FX, we managed well.
Thanks, Sohail. Quite insightful, and I am sure people would be interested to actually explore all these options. When there is a super storm or the perfect storm in the markets that we call it, it is the derivatives or properly thought through derivatives which protect us, right? Protect any of the treasuries and also give a frame of assurance to the CFO, CEO of the company. So Mr. Prince has resigned. So I would like to go to Mr. Prince Soni, Director Treasury and Tax for Whirlpool India. Sir, if you can just cover upon the new era of treasury risk management. So what is the new era? New era is still 2 years back, nobody ever thought that RTGS by treasuries can be done from bank, and bank will accept a scan copy and followed by email as a proper authentication. So we have moved a long way from signing checks and sending to the banks to doing everything from your mobile and maybe in some time from your watch, right, sir? So with this new advent of technology, if you can touch upon how we continue to do the control function, which is the risk management function, and also help in the revenue generation and create new investment strategies in this fast moving world. To Mr. Prince Soni, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jaina. Appreciate your initial comments. So yes, now we all have heard very few words, technology, fintech, and uncertainty, risk. So yes, these are the realities now, and these are going to remain for future. And during the last few years, or specifically last 2 years, the acceptability and adaptability to the technology has come in everywhere. Now everybody is looking for technology. The important part is that with this technology coming into place, now what best we can derive out of it in the new era is the good controls. And one of the risks which is coming along with the technology is around the cyber risk. So for the cyber risk, we need to start thinking and planning around it, because we deal with money, we deal with confidential information, and we deal with various critical information. And there are solutions around it, which is blockchain and some of the good treasury management systems. Along with this, I would like to also mention today, the new definition which is given to CFO is the Chief Finance Officer is now a Chief Forecast Officer. He's supposed to do the forecasting of the future expected things. And who is the major source of information to the CFO is a treasurer, because treasurer is online 24/7, having a lot of inputs, information coming through various sources, various reliable information platforms. So what is us as a treasurer to keep my CFO top of all the information is that when we do the new era technology systems, treasury management systems, doing integration with fintech, and I should also spend some time and money on the analyticals. So what all business we do, we have some of the basic things like working capital management, our project planning, and the most important thing is we need to keep certain provisions for uncertainties. Uncertainties are going to come in one way or the another way. This is certain, but what will be that uncertainty? We have to plan for it now. Along with that, we all have to try to do a good coordination of artificial intelligence, machine learning, so that we can predict some of the future risks we expect. So with this, I go back to you and say that these are the some actions which can help us in the new era to get revenue and protect the organization assets and risk management.
Thanks, Mr. Prince. Okay, you touched upon the artificial intelligence. So was Mr. Binay. A lot of new terms which sometime back nobody ever thought this will come to such a brick and mortar business like treasury, right? It used to be like coming to office and doing the job. Now you do the job on your way to the office in your car or even at your home. So these are very recent concepts, need further discussion, like Mr. Binay touched upon. It just can't be digitization means anything you find, just digitize it. So it is not the way. So that is where the experience, a lot of treasurers or people who have really insights into the data will always be required to guide organizations into a right course of digitization, utilization of artificial intelligence, so that it benefits the organization, not that we just do digitization or automation or AI just for the sake of it. So I think this is quite a vast subject. I don't think that 7-8 minutes or even 1 hour can give the full justification of it. But considering the format of this conference, we have to restrict our thoughts here. And I would request Bhavna to just see if we have any questions from the delegates, from the audience. We will like to take that upon.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Jena. So currently we don't have any questions, Mr. Jena, but I'm sure I can, the audience will be typing it in. I'll just re-inform them that it is on the top right-hand side of your screen, the Q&A tab. So in case if you've not figured that out on the platform, I'm just reiterating that. Mr. Jena, meanwhile, till then, since we have a couple more minutes on your panel, and I want to squeeze out every, part of knowledge possible from you and the panel, we'd love, Mr. Jena, one closing thought from you. You yourself are so experienced, and if there's one line you'd like the audience to take back, that one thought or that one advice, Mr. Jena, for anyone who's listening to you right now, which could better their current professional career, could better their insight towards your panel, what would that be?
Yeah, so it won't be in one line. So treasury is a much larger subject, but I will try to make it as concise as possible. So one thing, one takeaway is change is certain. So if everyone expects change will not happen, and we continue to work the way we have done till now, you are living in a fool's paradise. So change is certain, as everybody has experienced. 2 years back, nobody ever thought that going to a neighboring country would be stopped, or even for that matter, going out of home can be stopped by any government, by any rule, right? So change is certain. We have heard our eminent panelist, while change is certain, how to adapt to the change. So Sohail touched upon how to adapt to the risk management, innovate or take help from what is available. There are consultants, there are systems. Similarly, we heard upon Sugandha, who suggested that fintechs are actually the bridge between the finance provider and the finance utilizer. They provide options. We can always look upon them as a helping hand, and they give you a multitude of options. We heard upon Mr. Binay, who said that digitization is not just digitization. We have to really put some insights into how we are doing. We heard upon Mr. Dinkar sir, who has touched upon that banks always have contributed and they will continue to contribute. It is the way may change. The way may change from going to the branch, from sitting on your couch and doing banking. We heard upon Mr. Rajiv, who has suggested that technology and innovation will continue and how to adapt to that, right? So I think I have summarized all the knowledge, all the rich experience that is shared by each one of our fellow panelists. And I would like to conclude to say that even if we are unable to travel, so ideally this would have been on a very offline, face-to-face platform, which would have been much more takeaway. But still we can do all these innovations and continue to help our parent organizations and overall to the society. By doing this, we are not only saving cost, we are also helping the environment, right? So
Right.
all of us, if we would have traveled to Mumbai, just see how much carbon footprint we would have created, right? So that way, we need to innovate, we need to get connected, we need to share our experience. That is the key takeaway.
Absolutely. And, we are hoping that hopefully in the next time when we meet, it's going to be a physical gathering wherein we could all be together face to face and have a great interaction. And we could have a lovely lounge for you waiting once you're done with your session and having that cup of coffee or tea. But thank you so much to our eminent panelists. What an incredible discussion. Thank you for taking our time on a Friday. I'm sure you would be packed as always. Thank you for your valuable time today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anil.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this, we conclude with this panel. Why don't you allow us a couple more minutes while we get ready with our upcoming panel on the other side? This is all happening at our wonderful